Hi there, my name is Nicole with morningchores.com. Thank you for joining us in this week's video. Today I'm giving a complete introduction on how to use a solar sun oven. In today's video, I'll be discussing what a sun oven is, why you would want to use one or possibly purchase one. I'll also demonstrate how to use it, and I'll answer some common questions that I get about the sun oven at the end of the video. The All-American Sun Oven Company is not sponsoring this video. I am just sharing what my experience has been using their product. There is a link in the description box below, so you can click on that and check out their products for yourself, but there is no affiliate associated with the product. And again, they are not sponsoring today's video. So the first item we need to address is, what is a sun oven? A sun oven is an off-grid oven that uses the sunlight to cook food. So essentially, the sun oven directs the sunlight into the cooking space, traps the heat in, and then uses that energy to bake, cook, pasteurize, sterilize equipment, and even dehydrate food. If you've watched a lot of our videos and you're subscribed to the channel, then you know that I love to answer the why question. I think it's really important to know why you're doing something, because it puts purpose behind it, and if you don't know why you're doing something, then there's no point in doing it, right? So I love to answer the why question. So why would I want to use a sun oven, let alone purchase one, when I have a perfectly good oven and stove that works inside the home? Maybe I have a campfire I can cook on, I have a grill, I have all these different options for cooking and preparing food. Why the sun oven? The first reason is sustainability. The sun oven is a clean, renewable energy. It's essentially free. Once you buy the sun oven, the sun is free. You don't have to pay to use the sun. So it's a free energy, and it's there, so why not use it? The next reason is preparedness. I really like being prepared for certain situations like power outages, storms, things like that. And I always think it's important to have more than one way of doing something. For example, when it comes to water, you should have more than one way to get water, to filter water, so that it's drinkable and safe to drink. So it's the same thing with cooking. I think it's important to have multiple ways of cooking. And the sun oven is just another option. And the beauty of it is you don't have to start a fire. You don't have to get the grill out and prepare the grill. You're literally just setting up the sun oven in the sun, allowing it to preheat, put your food in there, and it cooks and it's done. There's not a lot of work involved in it other than setting the sun oven up, which is really easy. So I think it's important to have multiple ways of doing things, and we actually got an experience of this last summer in 2022. We had what's called a derecho, or a series of tornadoes and storms come through, and we did not have power for 3 days. Now, we were actually fortunate. I know friends and family who didn't have power for a week, sometimes longer. But it really helped us see kind of what we needed and what we didn't need. And the sun oven came in handy because it was so hot. And I did cook over a fire for some of our meals, but when it's 80+ degrees outside and you're working over a fire, it is really just hot and just not very comfortable. So the sun oven really came in handy because I was able to cook and prepare food without having to start a fire in that really hot weather. So it really did come in handy. So I think it's important, if you're interested in preparedness or being prepared for emergencies, to have multiple ways of doing things, and the sun oven is a perfect option for this. Another good reason for the sun oven, is just kind of a little side fun thing, is that you really cannot burn anything in the sun oven. I've left food in there and forgot about it, and it's perfectly fine. It's really amazing. So if you have a habit of burning food in a regular oven or stovetop, the sun oven might be for you, because you literally cannot burn anything in it. And the last reason to purchase a sun oven is it's just really fun. It's a fun thing to bring into the home and to add to your homestead. It's a really fun way to cook and prepare food. I mean, to me, it's mind-boggling that I can prepare a hot home-cooked meal without having to use electricity or build a fire. To me, that's amazing. And it is really fun to experiment. I mean, we've made bread in it, I've dehydrated, I've even made a whole chicken in it, and it's delicious. So, and of course, kids love getting involved in the process of it. So it's just a fun thing to add into your homestead and your cooking methods. When setting up your sun oven, make sure to choose a location that has a flat surface and it's in full sun. Unbutton the strap and unfold the reflectors. Another way to ensure that your sun oven is lined up properly with the sun is to use the bracket on the back of the sun oven. This allows you to elevate the sun oven at the proper angle so that you can get it in perfect alignment. And the purpose of getting it in alignment with the sun is it's going to help your sun oven heat up to the hottest temperature it possibly can and preheat properly. Using the indicator on the front of the sun oven, you want to line up the hole with the sun so that when the sun shines through the top hole, it shines a circle of light, and you want that circle of light in the center of the dark hole behind the first hole. So you can easily tell in the picture what to do, but this is how you know that your sun oven is lined up properly with the sun. Allow your sun oven to preheat for at least 30 minutes. To ensure a good preheat in your sun oven, make sure that the front door is latched tight. In today's video, I'm going to demonstrate how to heat up leftovers in the sun oven, as well as how to make boxed macaroni and cheese. Probably the easiest thing you can do in a sun oven is heat up leftovers, so I will probably do some more advanced recipes later in the summer. Once you're ready to put your food in the sun oven, make sure that you use oven mitts to open the oven door because it is very hot inside. Place your food gently and carefully on the oven rack, latch the door shut, and make sure that your sun oven is still in alignment with the sun. You may have to adjust it or tweak it to keep it in proper alignment. Once your food is finished cooking or baking, carefully remove your food from the sun oven using oven mitts. Before we close out the video, I wanted to go over some common questions that I get with the sun oven, and I do get a lot of questions. And the first question I get is, how well can you adapt your recipes to the sun oven? Does it take longer to cook and bake things? I have used my regular recipes that I normally make my food in my electric oven, and I've followed the same recipe. The only difference with the sun oven is that it takes longer to get things baked or made. And it really also just depends on the intensity of the sun and how hot it is that day. So for example, if I'm baking bread in the oven on a really hot day where the sun is really intense and it's a clear day, that bread is going to bake a little more quickly than if the day is partly cloudy and the sun's not so intense. So there is a little bit of a learning curve with it. Just keep in mind that it's very similar to cooking in a slow cooker or a crock pot. Things cook lower and slower. So what might take you an hour in the electric oven, it might take you an hour and 20 minutes or an hour and a half Or if it's a cold winter day but a clear sunny day, it might take you all day to make something. The next question I get is, can you build or make your own sun oven? And the answer is yes. There are tutorials online that you can find where people are building their own sun ovens, and you can make them bigger and you can do all kinds of things. People get very creative. I just chose to purchase the All American Sun Oven because at the time that I was considering it, I really didn't have time to build one, and I just liked that theirs was kind of already said and done and I could get right into using it right away. And it also came with a lot of cooking tools and extra things that I just felt like it was worth the money at the time. I've had mine for 3 to 4 years now. I believe it's 4 years, and it's still working beautifully. So it's definitely, I think, worth the purchase, and I do use it, and it's held up to time and wear, and I really, really like the All American Sun Oven. But yes, you can build your own if you're feeling motivated to do so. The next question I get is, can you use it in the winter time? And the short answer is yes, you can, but it is very different. So here where I live, we have about 3 solid months of winter. And the temperature can be anywhere from 60 degrees to negative 20 degrees. It really just depends on the year and the time of year and everything. But I did try the sun oven a couple of times in the winter. The one specific time I remember, it was January and it was about 20 degrees outside, but it was a clear sunny day. There were no clouds. And I decided to try making scallop potatoes. So I did cut the potatoes very thin, probably more thin than I would if I was making them in an electric oven. And I put them in probably the late morning. I think it was around 10:30, and it was getting dark by 4:30. So I had to pull them in by 4:30, and I would say the temperature of the scallop potatoes was lukewarm. So they weren't hot, but they weren't cold. They were just kind of lukewarm. And the potatoes were not fully done. They were still a little bit of a, not a crunch, but a hardness to them when you bit into them. So I did have to finish those in the electric oven inside. So I think what I learned from using the sun oven during the winter is that it would be perfectly fine for heating up leftovers. So if you had some leftovers and you wanted to use the sun oven for that, I think it'd be fine for that. But as far as cooking, in my experience, it wasn't reliable, and it's mostly just, I think, because we don't have enough sunlight hours to really heat up the food and cook it, and then because it's just so cold outside. So you can, but it's limited. It's very limited. The next question is, can you bake in the sun oven? And the answer is yes. I have done actually bread, and it baked beautifully. I think it actually turned out better than in the electric oven. It actually rose higher. It tasted fluffier. It was just better. I've also done brownies. I have not done cookies yet. That's kind of on my list this summer, and maybe I'll do a video about it. But yes, you can bake in it, which to me is just amazing. It's really fun to watch. And it's nice that there's a window too, so you can kind of watch it. But yes, you can bake in it. The last question for today is, what else can you do in the sun oven besides cooking and baking? And I know I kind of touched on this at the beginning of the video, but you can do actually a lot of things in the sun oven. You can dehydrate, you can pasteurize, and you can also sterilize equipment. So, those things would come in handy if you were in some type of grid down situation, or maybe you're camping and you don't have access to super clean water. You can pasteurize it. You can sterilize your equipment. So if you don't have a good way of washing things like your dishes and whatnot, you could use the sun oven to sterilize your dishes and your equipment. So this is a great asset to have on a camping trip, especially if you're going to a very remote area where there's no electricity or running water. So those two things come in really handy for that. And then, yes, you can dehydrate. I've dehydrated a lot of herbs. I've done bell peppers and tomatoes. I have found, though, with dehydrating, especially if it's a really hot day and it's very clear and the sun is very intense, You do have to watch it because it can get to the point where your little bell peppers or whatever it is you're dehydrating becomes almost too done, which I know I said you can't really burn anything in the sun oven, but I found that my bell peppers, the one time I did it, they got just a little too done where they weren't really dehydrated anymore. They were kind of just crispy. So you just kind of have to keep an eye on them when you're dehydrating. But yes, you can do a lot of fun things in the sun oven. Thank you for joining us in today's video. I hope you found it interesting and fun. I had a lot of fun introducing you guys to the sun oven. Look forward to more videos this summer where I'm actually going to demonstrate how to make some of this food. I'm planning on doing a whole chicken, maybe some bread, and I'd like to try chocolate chip cookies. That's on my list. So look forward to those, and if you don't want to miss any of those videos, hit that subscribe button down below. Also, take the time to head over to morningchores.com. There's so much information over there on gardening, animal husbandry, off-grid living, homesteading, so much over there, so be sure to check that out. I hope you guys have a wonderful week, and we'll see you on the next one.